Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of The Lineup. I'm Lindsay Huntsman, and on this show we'll be talking about managing restaurants. Everything from hiring, firing, floor service, and financial advice. I know that it may not always be the most sexy side of restaurants and that the media might not give it as much attention as food and wine, but we will try our hardest to make it fun and interesting. And we only have a half hour, so let's get right to it. My guest today is Saul Gropman from Cafe La Haye. That restaurant has been in the plaza of downtown Sonoma for 19 years. It has done incredibly well all of those years with reviewers and guests alike. It has been on Michael Bauer's Top 100 Restaurant Bay Area list for 11 years. 11 years. And in my opinion, it's a restaurant that walks the tightrope between upscale wine country elegance and relaxed Sonoma hospitality with incredible grace. So welcome, Saul.
Thank you so much.
So, let's start. Tell me your journey. How did you get into restaurants?
I had no experience in the restaurant world until I was, 30 years old, 29 years old. I came out from New York City for a teaching position. I ran the classical guitar program at Sacramento State University.
I think I saw you on Rate My Professors, actually. You're still up there.
So I was there for 2 years, and there was a year between that job and my next position, which was for 20 years at San Francisco State University, where I ran the guitar program as well. And that year in between, friends of mine opened up a little French bistro south of Market called South Park Cafe in San Francisco, and said, "Hey, can you come in and help out?" And I said, "Sure." Had no experience, and I thought, this is fun. I like this, and decided. I said, if you ever want to do another restaurant, I'd love to be a partner. So a couple of years later, we opened up another restaurant on the other side of the park called Ristorante Echo, and that was my real introduction to running a restaurant, front of the house and business aspects as well. Moved up to Sonoma, and in 1996 opened up Cafe La Haye with no intention of opening another restaurant. Just happened to met a friend of my wife at the time who was a chef and said, "Oh, I'm thinking of opening up a little breakfast lunch place on the plaza, just off the plaza." And I don't know why I said, if you want a partner, let me know. We did. We opened. Breakfast lasted about a minute. Lunch, we did lunch and then added dinners.
I think if you're a real hardcore restaurant person, I don't know how you can do that.
I think our average cover was $3 cover.
Oh, it's just so can you
10
get up
refills
in the
of
morning?
coffee.
I work in restaurants because I can't get up in the morning.
Right.
See, I would be like a plastic surgeon if I could.
I said, if there's any chance of making a buck in this business, we have to add dinners. So we did. Hired a lunch chef who happened to be very temperamental and walked out one day, and I said, "Look, I'm still teaching half-time. You're not going to work doubles in the kitchen. Let's just do dinner." So we ended up with dinners only, and we've been doing that for quite a while. So for the 17 years since we opened up the restaurant.
That's crazy. I mean, and you are such a fixture on the square too. Pretty much. Oh, pardon me. Hello. Hi. He's been. I mean, when you think about downtown Sonoma, you think about Cafe La Haye as being one of the top 3 restaurants that you go to. Being a sole proprietor, correct?
Yes.
He pretty much does everything. And
so it's 90% housekeeping, the restaurant business. So all you people that want to get in the glamour of the restaurant business, there's a lot of cleaning toilets, when they need to be done. There's a lot of jumping in to do dishwashing when it needs to be done, sweeping outside, all sorts of things. But I run the front of the house, so therefore I'm there at service every night. And I also run all the business aspects. So I do all the bill paying, payroll, and all the financials.
Which is incredibly time consuming.
It is, think. Yeah. But when you've done it for so many years, you set up a routine, and I'm fast now. And even though we'll run, you asked about numbers, you asked about food costs, labor costs. Food costs is the one that I'm most in touch with, because when you're running the business side and you're seeing money come in, money go out, you're watching the checkbook, you pretty much know what your food cost is even before you run that inventory and run the food cost numbers. I think it's really important to be so hands-on because, and I mean, I pay the bills. I'm so fast at it now that to hire a bookkeeper to come in and spend a day or half a day, and that bookkeeper doesn't know what,
well, there's
filet was,
yes, exactly.
last week, or why did we get a bump up on this price this week? It was a mistake.
Well, and they're sending you, giving you a pile of checks, and you're signing those checks, but
Right.
because you haven't been saying, oh, this is my bill, I'm going to put it into QuickBooks, I'm gonna make sure it's paid on this day. I know where my remittance is. You're with it. You're that whole journey.
Exactly.
I think my Del Monte bill is $476. You really
Word that it will.
Yeah, I know. maybe fee nerds or something. But you are more likely to catch the errors as they go.
Yeah.
Instead of, it's even more time consuming at the end of the day. When you're like, what is, I have a really high food and labor cost, like it's just got to be an accounting error, and then you have to go back not
Right.
having worked
So
with those
when
numbers.
you follow that, every day of the month, you really generally don't have those. It'd have to be a, pilot error entering, an
Yeah.
extra digit, in the computer.
Yeah.
Labor cost is a little bit more difficult to watch, in that we're a small house. We're, 3 servers, 2 bussers, me, in the kitchen we have 4 people, and you don't want to take away their hours so much
Yeah.
when it slows down. But by the same token, you have to be realistic
Financially
and know
viable
that
restaurant, yeah.
you're talking about a business that, if you're lucky, you're running 9 to 10% profit on your revenues, on,
Very
on your
lucky,
sales.
very lucky.
And there's, I don't know, a corporation in America that would consider that a good business model. So it's pretty lean.
Yeah.
But so you have to kind of, as you said, walk that fine line between, making sure they have their hours and not overstaffing.
Yeah. Well, and I think there are all these new challenges that we are experiencing in California right now. We just raised the minimum wage, well, not just California. We just raised 9.
9, and next
And then
January
we're
goes
gonna
up to
do.
10.
Is it July? I thought it's July.
10.
It's
January.
January.
January
Okay.
is the jump to 10.
And then we have all sorts of other legal
And
responsibilities
yeah.
have added, like the new vacation laws, and there's a lot here.
I am all for an increased minimum wage. I do have an issue with tipped employees that are making $35 to $50 an
Yeah.
hour in tips, and that minimum wage is coming. When I started owning a business, it was $4.25 an hour. So
When I worked, my very first restaurant job was a hostess in Virginia, and they have the tip credit thing,
Yeah.
but we don't have.
We do
I
not
think
have
I
a tip
made
credit,
$3.15 an hour plus host tips.
Well,
How that
and-
was a job, I have no idea.
I'll back up. I lied a little bit. I did have some restaurant experience. When I was 13, I washed windows at Jack in the Box for $1.35 an hour. So that was.
That's a real feather in your cap. That's
I did it for a summer.
So we were talking about tips, and there's
Yeah.
been a little bit of some discussion, among restaurants, especially in the Bay Area, about getting rid of tips, doing just a full-on service charge, or building the prices or building the gratuity into the prices itself, and just doling it out more equally.
I've read a number of articles in the New York Times in the last 6 months, and I like a lot about what I'm reading, but a couple of issues I have. And if you build it into the price, the customer is used
You
to
have
a
a
certain
$60
price point.
entree, yeah,
Exactly.
it's going to be
And
terrifying.
they're having a hard time
Yeah.
reconciling that. And because gratuity is a gratuity, meaning it's a gift in a way from the customer to
Yes.
the server in appreciation for the work they've done, and they can adjust that. It's
Yeah.
not fixed. So I think that's a problem. Service compris, the European method of including the service charge as an added,
Yes.
or actually that's built into the price. But the other method that I've heard about and is used, and I know that Chez Panisse has a 15% gratuity.
But you're being taxed on it as your guest. So
Right.
so your guest is getting pinged
Right.
for this new model, and
Exactly.
there's that to address as well, which I think a lot of guests who do see those service charges maybe balk because they can't make the judgment.
I don't.
But the tax thing,
that
you might
one
not
I'm
know.
more encouraged to want to do, but I think it would in a small town like Sonoma. I think every restaurant would have to buy into
Yes.
that.
Let's have a
it would
meeting
be,
next
it would
week.
Be it would be difficult for a single restaurant to do that and not suffer,
I think it's
the
something that
slings
maybe.
and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Well, maybe for us, we do. We let them experiment in the city, and then we
Yeah.
take the best ideas from them and make sure we
Right.
cherry pick.
Right. there are other things, because a gratuity, that's the whole issue. There's no payroll tax on the gratuity, so because that again is not sales, so that's a whole issue that you have to figure in.
I know it's such
as
an
well.
incredibly hard thing to wrap your head around, especially now that we're all changing. So that is a challenge.
Yes.
Let's talk about some other challenges in the
Social
small
media.
restaurants. Social media, this is wonderful. You love this.
Let's talk about
You love
that.
everything about it.
The world has changed. The restaurant world has changed over the since I started in casual fine dining in 1985, 86, and it's changed a lot. It used to be that you would open up a restaurant, you'd do your best, a reviewer would come in, you would succeed or fail based on that. But now everybody has a voice.
Everybody has a voice. Well, I think actually
Everybody has a voice. And the problem with some of the social media sites is that you don't even have to be a guest in that establishment and have experienced that business to write a review.
My current restaurant has a review that has never been taken down about how great our martinis and oysters are, and we have neither.
Yeah.
So it's never been taken down.
It's a bit of an issue. But by the same token, I think I can't be a Luddite and I can't, shun technology. I have to accept the fact that it's it's certainly a new way of getting your message out.
Yeah.
Always have felt, I've never, I shouldn't say never, I've almost never had paid advertising in the restaurant business. I don't think there's a value in that.
There's probably word of mouth is just as good.
I think word of mouth is far more effective and more positive, and word of mouth has now gone to
You've
social
also been
media.
very lucky in being very successful and you have very popular friends. I mean, Michael Bauer loves you quite a bit. I think
we've been
maybe a little
very
luckier
fortunate.
than
We've been very,
somebody
very
who's in a strip mall.
Yeah. But I will tell you, I'm there every night and I'm hands-on and I touch every table, and so it does make a difference when you have somebody where that business really matters to them that is checking on every guest every night and making sure, and if there is a problem, addressing it right then and there, because there is no way that any restaurant can be a place for 100% of the population. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't find what you do to their liking.
Yeah, exactly.
And no matter how well you do it, it's not what they wanted, not what they expected.
Well, everyone's different. I mean, that's what makes everything. Right. That's why we go to different restaurants, is we expect different experiences. So we talked about Yelp a little bit.
Okay. Oh, did we say Yelp?
Well, sorry, I thought. Well, you know why we said social media, but
we did.
You actually came into my restaurant one day when I was really bummed down because we had a review that was very well written, very thoughtful, but we had maybe not been doing the greatest job, and everything that they said was like, you know what, these are things that happened tonight, and I was a little bummed out, and I think I mentioned something about Yelp, and then you said something to me about the ones that you look at.
Right, and so actually I was listening to Michael Krasny's show on KQED one morning, and he was interviewing somebody from what was it, Consumer Reports.
Okay.
And they were saying that what they look at, they don't look at the 5-star reviews. They don't look at the 1-star reviews. They look at the 3-star reviews.
Which is incredible.
And I think that is really, that's
advice.
where I think you can find value in what you're reading. Because the people that love you or pretend to love you, you can't do any more, right?
It's great.
The people that hate you.
They hate you so much and they find everything to hate.
Something happened. Something came up recently, actually, where there was, and I don't read Yelp.
Yeah.
I read it once or twice a year. I get something.
I think that's where I've found,
I get a
emotionally, it really puts you in a spiral.
I'll be forwarded something, and so I'll go on the site and I'll see it, and then and Yelp will call me to advertise and say, well, you have such great reviews. I said, oh yeah, but did you see the one? And I can actually identify, I'll go back and I'll say, oh, that was a 6 top at 8 o'clock on such a.
Well, because you're there every day.
They were drunk.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think as a guest in a restaurant, or some of the people that write those reviews think that they're a little bit more anonymous, whereas we've been watching you the whole time. It's literally my job to watch your face and see, does she like the steak? She doesn't like the steak. She didn't eat that? Why is that? Go look over. No, she's full. She's fine. Like, you remember all of that.
And so there was something on TripAdvisor recently, and we have a lot of wonderful reviews, but it was a 1-star review, and they panned 4 dishes out of 5 dishes. 4 out of 5 dishes they panned. Not not long, just very, very succinct.
Yes.
And I was just racking my brain. It says when they visited, I'm looking for a 5 top that had, and I'm thinking, but I go to every table. If I had a table that hated 4 out of the 5 dishes that they ate, and they didn't tell me they hated
you
them,
would still know by their face, I would assume,
I think you would. And if they didn't tell me, then shame on them. Because I would have been happy to make them anything else.
Well, that's the other thing is, if you are in a restaurant, please let me know. I'm very, while it can be kind of a tense moment or an anxious moment when you go to the table and someone's upset, it gives us an opportunity to fix something. And then, sometimes, like, say we put a new dish on, like, we'll go around and we'll check with table, see how it's doing. And I'm really looking for valid, comments and and criticism, because this is new. Maybe we need to tweak it a little bit. And so I always make sure to thank people when they do have a complaint, because it's better to know that and to fix it and to be aware than to. But
also, just briefly kind of get rid of this whole conversation about social media. My feeling is that it's a business where if somebody doesn't like what you do, they don't return, and if you're really not doing a good job, it's a self-correcting problem, because people will stop coming. Yeah. But if they don't stop coming and you have a lot of return guests, then you figure you're doing something right. So that's where that's the really
nice thing about having a small restaurant too, is that I'm working in a small restaurant right now, is you get to see regulars and you get to do those table touches.
You do.
Often. And sometimes in a larger restaurant, you can see the manager that is required to do the table touches, but it's this very awkward, like, how was your food? Okay, and they go to the next restaurant. How was your food? And it's not really an authentic experience. And you're a very authentic maitre d'. How is it that you create that experience on the floor and make it more of a welcoming environment?
I think it's just I like people. I'm a social person and I like people, and it's a wonderful interaction. And I not only taught classical guitar, but I performed. I played solo, concerto, and chamber music. And when I stopped doing that, professionally, and the floor is a performance of its own.
Yes,
every day,
like
every night it unfolds. And you are in a sense a conductor orchestrating, what's going on the floor, and from figuring out the puzzle of how you're going to fit everybody in, coming in at the right time, to checking on the table, to making sure they're happy and entertaining them. And so it's kind of another sense.
What are some? Do you have some fun maitre d' tricks? I've learned some. From
be yourself.
Never. Nobody wants that. I would be in sweatpants with no makeup.
So new direction for Lindsay Huntsman.
Nobody wants that. So I think I was talking to Larry Nadeau once from the French Laundry. He has a couple of little. Do you have any little secrets that you want to let me know about?
No, but I think Larry is fabulous. I think Larry's the consummate. Yeah. There's also across the street from us Della Santina's, which has been there 20 some years, and the father, Dan Della Santina, Quercio, is the consummate old school host. And I've always admired that. I mean, he wants you to have a good time. And you feel that. I mean, he wants you to have wine. He wants you to have this. Oh, you should try that. And it's almost the way Ciro Macchione was at the Cirque, all those
anymore.
years ago.
You really don't find it as often anymore. I think there's a very big. Or Psalms are one of the new rock stars of the food industry. We talk about that.
But I think we miss, there were the days of the maitre d'.
I think that is something that we could develop, and I think we don't necessarily develop that in our service staff anymore.
Right.
And you find the people. I'm a sociable person, but I think a lot of things I've learned about, I've gone home after service and thought, what went well there, what went wrong, what can I use again?
Yeah, I think it's a genuine desire for your guests to be enjoying themselves. And I also feel, in a small house like this, you're almost coming a guest in my home.
Yeah.
And so, I want you to have a good time. And the hard part is when you have people that come in that know coming in, they want you to prove something. And
well, because they're checking off a list.
Yeah.
These are the top 5 restaurants in Sonoma.
I
I'm
want
going
somebody
to 1,
to come
2,
in
and 3. Yeah, exactly.
that just wants to come in and enjoy themselves and
because
have a good time.
It's the experience. Yeah, it's not. Okay, well this has been wonderful. One question I'm going to ask all of our guests. What is one trend in restaurants that you would just like to die already?
Oh. Wow.
And then quickly, because we got John coming too.
I think Yelp. It's not a trend, but I think it's Yelp.
Okay, come on, John. So we're going to finish with a toast. This is a good friend and former colleague of mine, John W.H.D. Staley. And he's going to do anything.
Lindsay's asked me to come here to share a very unpopular opinion that's probably get my Bartenders Guild membership revoked in the Bay Area. But we all know this iconic moment.
You had too much.
You want me in the middle.
Yeah.
That's where,
You had too much. I have a poster of it in my house, but it's too much.
This little Amaro, you may know, Fernet Branca, is huge and popular in San Francisco and the Bay Area altogether. I personally have lied to myself for many years, even got my local bowling alley to carry it so that we could drink it because we were over Jägermeister. We were too good for that. It's just a bitter, and I believe everything has its place, but this is just dark and bitter, and it's just too much, and we've all been drinking it for way too long.
Way too long. Move along.
There's no reason. I mean, I think about dining in wine country and the indulgence, and this is no reason why this potable, bitter, hipster nonsense should end your dinner.
Unless you have a stomach ache and
This
it
is
really
true.
is a
Yes.
I'm not saying that it does not
Or
have
a
restorative
terrible
properties,
hangover.
but this
Terrible
pathological
hangover.
love of this thing is out of control, and a lot of it is psychosomatic with booze. Usually it's a good way for adults to be able to take a shot at the end of a meal and still feel okay about themselves. What I've found is that I've got a little Ronzacapa rum. The thing I love about dark rum is there's just a smoothness and a complexity that you don't get in an Amaro or a bitter. And again, everything has its place. I don't need to be vilified for this.
Well,
I'm just saying, and I'm not saying those folks who don't enjoy it shouldn't continue to drink it.
But we don't drink enough dark rum. Nobody's drinking dark rum now.
But there are more ways to go.
Starting it.
There are more ways to go.
Now. Oh my God, that's a lot of dark rum.
You weren't driving when you came
I did
in.
not. I have a driver, so.
Anyhow, this is a Guatemalan dark rum.
So, Ronzacapa, anything we should know about it?
Well, it's a Solera style, which means it takes kind of like a lot of wines. So you've got a bit of each year this is from like 6 to 23 or something like that.
Very cool.
I would just like to see more dark rum out there in wine country and the Bay Area. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thank you.